It's time to get serious. Hello, this is my YouTube channel where I make all my videos and I hope that you enjoy them. And since it's time to start, there's only one thing left to say. Allons-y! Hi, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take these off because I can't see out of them at all. They're not real, but I still can't see out of them because they're scratched up and stuff. They were just to show how serious this video is. This video is not a joke. This video is about how Twilight is brainwashing the minds of all the the world. All of the world's everybody. Everybody thinks either they like Twilight. And if you like Twilight, please don't watch this video because I don't want to offend anyone. But if you don't like Twilight, please continue. Props to you. Please continue watching this video. They make the people who like Twilight think that all vampires have to be beautiful and sparkly and lovable. And they make the people who don't like Twilight think that all vampires have to be wimps. And that's not good because there used to be good, awesome vampires like Dracula. Dracula was the best vampire. And those vampires in Van Helsing, which were just awesome. But now, vampires sparkle. They sparkle. And something that really annoys me, because the first part of the last Twilight movie, unless they're going to make Midnight Sun into a movie too, which I sincerely hope that they don't, because it's just going to be Twilight all over again. Sorry. So, if they do make Midnight Sun into a movie, then that's going to be not the last Twilight movie, but second to last. So, Breaking Dawn, Part 1 just came out, and people are saying, news correspondents, just people that I know, keep telling me, you know, Stephenie Meyer is totally taking a page out of J.K. Rowling's book, making her last movie into a 2-part film. If Stephenie Meyer wants to take a page out of J.K. Rowling's book, she should take out the page about writing good books. Because those Twilight books, not good books. And a lot of my friends tell me that they don't like J.K. Rowling's books because they're too complicated. And so I say, well, you just have to read all of them. Because I started reading them when I was, like, really young. So I was a little bit confused at the beginning, especially book 4. Book 4 is my favorite book. It's got such a complex plot and it's so amazing. It's so well written. But a lot of my friends tell me that they can't stand Harry Potter because Harry Potter is too complex. They don't know what's going on. Well, if you read it to the end, you'll understand it and it'll be fine. So that's what I always tell them to do. But they say, well, 7 books? That's way too many. Laziness. And I understand if you don't like Harry Potter. If you just don't like the books, if you've read them and don't like them, people keep saying to me, well, you haven't read Twilight and you don't even watch the movies. Yeah, I guess they all talk like that. I don't know. They don't really. I'm sorry. You haven't read Twilight, and you haven't watched the movies, so you really can't judge it. Not true. I have read Twilight. My older sister Autumn, used to be really into Twilight. And I should just clarify, because she would get really mad at me if I didn't. She's not into Twilight anymore. She does not. She hates Twilight now, so that's fine. It's fine if you like Twilight too. Don't be offended by this video. I don't like it, and so I'm I don't not like people who like Twilight. Some of my best friends like Twilight. My best friend Brooke loves Twilight. She is a die-hard Twilight fan. I don't know what Twilight fans are called, but she's a die-hard Twilight fan. And I've read the books. I had to because my sister just said, read these, they'll be amazing. And I wanted to give them, she doesn't talk like that, I'm sorry. And I wanted to give them a fair chance so I read all the way to the end because that's what people do to Harry Potter. They read the first 4 books and they're like, mind blown. I have no idea what's going on here. And they stop. And so I said, well, that's silly. They shouldn't stop, so I'm not going to stop reading this book. I read all 4 books. I didn't take a second glance at Midnight Sun. I'm sorry. and it was so hard for me to read them because I'm really big on grammar and spelling and things. And Stephanie Meyer did a lot of awful, awful things in those books. I know that it's partially the editor's job to look at the spelling and grammar and say, hey, that is some awful spelling and grammar you have there, Stephanie Meyer. I'm going to fix that. But my mom is an editor, so I sort of know about this stuff. You have to look over it because there's only so much that an editor can do. And editors have to read through and read through and read through things over and over and over again. And if you read through things that many times, then you start to not notice the mistakes because you just go from memory instead of what's actually there, which is something that's like really, really awful. But Stephanie Meyer should have reread that and said, there were some really obvious ones. Like, she just made up words. Not in the way that some people make up words, like Expelliarmus. I'm sorry, I keep using Harry Potter as an example. What's another one? I don't know, Shakespeare made up a lot of words. But she just took words that had a word that meant the same thing and just made up a jumbled mess. And she obviously didn't do it on purpose because she never used them again. So, I don't know. It was really hard for me because I don't know. I'm a grammar freak. I really, really am. And everybody always gets on me because my friends always ask me to revise their papers because they say, well, we want you to read these and tell us if you think that they're good and stuff. And so I read them and I'm like, no. You put A twice. Why would you do that? And they said, well, I didn't mean to. And I don't freak out on them or anything, but they get really annoyed because it comes back with a lot of blue marks on it, because I know it should have a lot of red marks on it, but I don't use blue. I just use my blue Sharpie. I use a blue Sharpie instead of a red pen, like I probably should. Anyway, and Stephanie Meyer made so many that it was just really hard for me to read, but then I made it through. It was bad. It was some bad stuff. I don't know. I could not. It was like a badly written fan fiction almost, which I kind of understand because apparently it is basically a fan fiction. Like, there was another book that was exactly like it, but with different character names, and she just put herself into Bella's shoes, which, first of all, why would she do that? Because she made herself a whiny teenage girl. She could have made herself into somebody who was like really badass and awesome and like tough and, hey Edward, I don't need you because I can fight my own battles, and had a really deep masculine voice like that I just did there. But Twilight is just essentially about how important it is for Bella to have Edward as a boyfriend, which is just not. It's silly. Really, it's really, really silly. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to Harry Potter again, and I'm really sorry for this. Harry Potter is all about the struggle between good and evil, and how important love is, and Harry wants to defeat Voldemort because he's bad and awful, and all Harry's friends are like, oh my gosh, Harry, of course we'll help you, because it's the right thing to do, and you're a good person. And Bella just goes, oh my gosh, Edward, I love you so much. Marry me, turn me into a vampire, Edward! Stupid. I'm sorry, but if you compare those two levels of writing, and people say that Twilight is so much better than Harry Potter, and I just don't understand it. And I'm sorry, because this has been an almost 10-minute video. I don't have a watch on. I just look at my wrist out of habit. An almost 10-minute video just ranting about how bad Twilight is. But if you are a Twilight fan, then I totally accept that, because you have your own opinions, and that's fine with me. And I love everybody who watches my videos, even if they love Twilight, even if they hate Twilight, even if they're just like, what's Twilight? And if you are like, what's Twilight, please, just spread your ignorance to the world, so that nobody knows what Twilight is anymore. Alright, goodbye! That was the end of the video. Now you're hearing the outro. Outro, outro, outro. You've already heard the intro, then you watch the video. Finally, it's time for the outro. Goodbye.